Alright guys, so what we want to talk about today is how to use India ink washes. How does that work? At first glance you kind of think, man, this is very similar to watercolor. However, watercolor is very workable. It moves when you lift it back out. India ink is different in that once you put a value down, it pretty well sticks. It stays. So we have to learn how to layer up. We have to learn how to get those gradations and those tones. So before we move any further with India ink, I want us to practice it, because we know that in anything we do, whether it's music, sports, anything, an instrument, practice makes perfect, and that's the same in art. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of practice here. For India ink, what do we need? Okay, first of all, you need your India ink. Remember those containers I had you buy at the beginning of the year? Well, that's what those are good for. Okay. In here I've placed a little bit of India ink. If I kind of tilt this to the side, you see it's not much at all. A little bit of ink goes such a long way. You want a lid that seals. Okay. You notice this seals. When I tip it, it's not going to spill out the side. Okay. Nothing's going to happen to it. That way you can keep it in your box, and it is your ink and yours to use and nobody else's. I will be providing you with the India ink. You need to get the ink from me, simply because pouring this stuff, if it gets all over you, it's not going to come out of your clothes. So I want you to be careful with it. I say that I have spilt it on my clothes and gotten it out before. You have to work quick. The other thing you're going to want is a cup of water filled up, because you can dilute the India ink with water to get certain gradations and certain tones. The other thing you're going to want is a variety of brushes. Okay, I've got a really small tipped one, kind of a small flat tip. I've got a very fine point tipped for those little bitty details, and I have a flat edge. Okay, flat edges are really good for larger areas, and they work really well. I think the flat edge is my favorite brush to use. You're going to want your paint palette that you bought at the beginning of the year. You're going to want that because you're going to want to be able to separate the different tones, which I'm going to show you in a minute. When you start your project, you're going to receive these two little strips of paper. These are watercolor strips. What these are going to do is they are going to help you practice your India ink. Okay, watercolor paper is a lot more absorbent, and it sticks to it better than anything else. When you are done with everything, what you'll do is you'll take these when they are all dry. You will take them and stick them in your sketchbook just like this. Okay, and you will glue them, tape them. Does not matter to me. They just need to be in your sketchbook so that you can always go back to them. You might even do them this way, or keep yourself some space so that you can practice more over here or do some sketching. But they just need to be in your sketchbook, and that's how I'll grade them. So let's begin. I'm going to take this little rectangle that you're given. You're just going to take one of them, and you're going to want to shape this out just a little bit to make some squares. Every inch is what you're going to want to make a mark at top and bottom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ends out the paper. Again at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take your handy dandy ruler, line those up. Guys, I'm not looking for the most even things in the world. I'm looking for just a separation so that we can see the different values in your washes. Okay, so 6 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to want to work from light to dark. Light to dark. Okay? With India ink, you always start with your lightest value. Always, always, always. So, the next one you're going to leave plain, because you're going to do a smooth, fluid transition without any breaks in it. Okay? So this one's going to be smooth. Again, working from light to dark. From light to dark. Let me put this kind of up here for now, because I want to show you some amazing tricks with this India ink. Okay? I have my water, and I have my India ink, and I have my brushes. Okay? what I'm going to do is take the India ink in its fullness, put my brush in there, and get some on my palette. Okay? Okay? So I've got a decent amount there. I'm going to go hit my water, and I'm going to pull some over here. Then I'm going to take some more water, and just without dipping back in here, I'm just taking water and pulling that water over without doing a lot of cleaning of my brush. And look what happens. So I have my darkest value next, well, really I have one of my lighter values next to my next darker, black. Okay? And then if you want it really, really white, you just clean that brush off and do that right there. Okay? It's a process, guys. It's a process. So maybe you're gonna want to come back and get more. Maybe these values aren't quite what you want them. You'll have to play with that. So let's keep our. Let me turn this way so you can see all those. Let's keep this there, and then let's work on this. So remember, I'm going from light to dark. So I'm just going to kind of start with that lightest value that I have right here. Start with that lightest value. And then, guys, I'm just going to kind of go from top to bottom. And once I hit my edge there, I'm going to leave it. Okay? So I got my first value in there. Okay, first value. Now, for areas that you're going to leave completely white, obviously you wouldn't touch it. You just wouldn't touch that area at all. This we want to kind of get a gradation so you can get a scale going. Okay, I'm going to come to a darker value, so maybe right here, and I'm going to see how that looks. That's good. It's a little bit darker. And I'm going to pull that in. Okay, not a lot darker, but notice there's just a little bit of separation. I think I want it just a little bit darker, which is okay if you need to come back in and do. That's much better. Okay, so you see that difference there. Then I'm going to come over and go even a little bit darker. Ever so slightly darker. And you notice I said, like, I'm going to have to come back and grab some value that maybe wasn't exactly what I did when I spread it out, but I can start with a base and keep on working up. So you see my next value is a little bit darker. And so forth. We just keep on moving on. We just got to keep on keeping on. Okay, I want that a little bit darker. I'm going to go into my true black, pull it into that tone there, and darken it. Yes, that's nice. A little bit darker, actually, is what I want. Okay, and then I'm going to get my black, and I'm going to get my darkest value in here. Clean this off just a little bit. Okay. So if you see that this is a little dark and you need to go back, you can. I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that I need to come back and darken this value up a little bit. And then I'm seeing that I need to come darken this value up a little bit as well for a better transition of value. That's much better. Okay? So we have our very light value, and this dries a little bit lighter than what it appears. So I'm going to set that aside and let it dry. We'll look at it in just a second. Next thing we want to do is look at just a smooth transition of value. Okay? Remember, we are still working from light to dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of get my water here, and I'm just going to go over the whole thing with that first light value. I'm going to pump that in there. And I'm just going back for more water as I need it. So it's pretty wet. Okay. I'm going to come back over here with my black. I'm going to hit that edge right there. Okay, notice how dark that is. I want it a little bit darker. Okay, watch what I do. I'm going to get my brush wet, then I'm going to pull it and stretch it. And I'm going to keep on doing that. And I notice it needs to be stretched more, so I'm going back and getting my black, and I'm going to keep on stretching it. Okay. Alright, let's let that dry just a minute. Let's go back and look at this and clean my space here. Keep a clean workspace. It makes you happy and it makes me happy. So now we have this gradation. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values. Okay, really we could go up to 10 values if we wanted to. We could make a very vast transition, but this gives us a good base to work with, and it gives us a good layer to play around with. Let's look back at this. Okay, we've got our dark over here and our light over here. I put in my light value first, and then I came back with my dark and stretched it. As this dries, it'll dry a little bit lighter. I can come back in and darken as I need to. In fact, I'm going to do that now. I'm going to get it a little bit darker right here on this edge since it's a little bit more dry. And I'm going to pull it out a little bit more. Fun thing with art is you get to play. Nothing's ever absolute. It kind of changes and you just have to work with it. So there we have it. A smooth transition, okay, from light into dark. Smooth transition. Alright, and like I said, once those dry completely, this one's almost totally dry. We're going to take them and put them in our sketchbook and paste them down. That way you can go back and reference them, and this is where I will grade them from. Okay, so don't show me just these loosey-goosey things. Have them in your sketchbook. Go grab a glue stick, go grab some tape. Either way is fine with me. If you're using tape, use clear Scotch tape. This should help you get started with India ink. If you want more practice, you can always come over here and get a piece of watercolor paper and play with it. So, happy inking!